Goku, the Saiyan warrior from Dragon Ball, and Bruce Lee, the iconic martial artist turned actor, are more similar than you might think. Now, while Goku harnesses the power of ki and superhuman abilities, Bruce Lee epitomizes the philosophy of Jeet Kune Do and practical combat techniques. Let's delve deeper into their unique approaches. And how are they similar? Now, while Goku's fighting style relies heavily on supernatural abilities and energy manipulation, Bruce Lee's approach is grounded in reality and practicality with real-world scenarios in mind. Goku seeks to become the strongest fighter in the universe, while Bruce Lee aimed to develop martial artists who could adapt to any situation.
Be water, my friend.
Now, despite their differences, both Goku and Bruce Lee embody the principles of discipline, perseverance, and self-improvement. We're going to take a look at Goku and Bruce Lee's fighting philosophy from the lens of a Jeet Kune Do concepts practitioner like myself. We're going to use the framework: research your own experience, add what is useful, discard what is useless, and add specifically what is your own. These four tenets make the hallmark of the Jeet Kune Do concepts fighting philosophy. There's a lot of debate in the Jeet Kune Do world, whether you're on the original branch or the concepts branch, on the fighting philosophy. So I'm just going to be frank with you, and we're going to use this one today. Part 1. Research your own experience. Now, this basically means that one should take a look at the martial arts and what they want to achieve in the martial arts and research how to achieve that. I know that's like breaking it down stupid simply, but let me be clear. When you train with quality instructors, and then you build your basic framework of whatever combat is, and again, whatever you want to achieve in combat, you can use those quality instructors to then branch off and continue to research outside of that. Nowadays, you can use YouTube, the internet, Google, to find the answers to your questions. How to get out of bottom side control, how do I land my rear kick more, etc., etc. Goku and Bruce Lee did not have these things, unfortunately. Now, what Goku did have is quality instructors in Master Roshi and King Kai, as well as later Beerus and Whis. Bruce Lee had that in Ip Man when he lived in Hong Kong and trained Wing Chun, and then he had it with many people when he came to America when he would trade ideas. But what both of them would do is take those experiences and make them their own. Now, before I get to the fourth tenet where it's add specifically what's your own, what I mean by that is they would master the techniques that they were taught, and they would understand it to an extreme level. Now, this would a lot of times be done in ways of mimicry, where Goku would mimic a technique, or in Bruce Lee's case, he would read about it in a book or see it on an 8mm film, and then apply it. This research your own experience is going to be different for each individual, especially if you live in a remote place where you don't have any quality instructors in the art or discipline you wish to train in. You must then use YouTube and Google and all that stuff to research your own experience. But here's the last and most important part. You must be sparring in that art. No art is so deadly that you cannot spar it. And if it is too deadly, it's not going to be practical, and you're not going to be able to apply it because you don't have those fine-tuned motor movements and timing. Sparring is the most important part of researching your own experience, because then you can learn to apply your knowledge. Sparring is so important to researching your own experience. Goku has been doing it since he was a child. When he was living with Master Roshi, training with Krillin, he would spar him constantly. And then moving on from that, he would go ahead and continue to work out and spar. He would do that when he made a friend in Piccolo. He would do that when he made a friend in Vegeta. And Vegeta would be his long-term training partner because basically both of them like training so much. It's kind of a goal for you, right? Is find your Vegeta if you're Goku. Bruce Lee did the same thing. When he lived in Hong Kong, he trained and sparred Wing Chun with Ip Man. When he moved here to America, he would continuously spar when he would trade ideas, and he did that all the way up until his passing. So, being able to spar and apply is how you research your own experience. Then you'll know what moves work for you in the best way and what timings you have to execute said moves. That is researching your own experience. Part 2. Add what is useful. Now I know it's about the daily decrease, not the daily increase, but bear with me for a moment to set this up. A sculptor, in order to make something out of clay, needs a big old hump of clay. And when you are adding a new ideal or thought pattern or concept to your life, you need to understand the concept. Now, fighting is innate in our DNA, but fighting well is not. That has to be something that has to be curated and learned. Now, when you learn this, you have to learn it by adding quote-unquote techniques and concepts to make that work. That said, Bruce Lee would constantly be trading ideas, reading books, and researching, as we talked about previously, but he would add things to that. And later, he would go beyond just adding techniques, like I said, to adding concepts and actual science behind his moves. Bruce Lee and Goku are similar in this fashion, where Goku would go and learn these moves a lot of times through mimicry, or sometimes only seeing them once, like the Kamehameha, and he would add that move to his arsenal. He would add the solar flare. He would add the Destructo Disc or the Kaiyenzan. He would add all of these things. And that is what makes it really cool, right? Because you watch Goku and he'll watch a move once and then you're like, boom, he does it. And Bruce Lee had a similar idea where he would be able to watch something, according to Dan Inosanto, especially like a Kali move or sequence, and be able to immediately replicate it. And then come back in a few weeks and, well, make it his own. Again, touching on the fourth point. We'll get there. Don't worry. So Goku would add those techniques to himself just as Bruce Lee would. And for you, the practitioner at home, listening to this video, watching me, animated me do these things, what I want you to take away from this is continuously look up moves and techniques and concepts that apply to the art that you're learning. If you're learning jiu-jitsu, keep watching those Instagram reels where they show the craziest stuff imaginable. You might actually get something out of that, and you can add it to your arsenal. And then you can remove some of the other things that maybe don't work for you. That said, we'll get to the next point here soon, but it's important for you to be constantly engaged in the art and researching and adding and constantly trying to refine. Another way of adding what is useful is paying homage to each of his instructors by wearing their insignia on his dogi. And I just did the same thanks to Anime Ape. Man, you gotta love that transition. I've been out of the game for too long, but I still got it. Anime Ape has been awesome. They sent me all of these cool things. I've got the Goku top, the Goku bottom. I got a giant flag now for the dojo with Goku's emblem on it, and this freaking awesome hoodie that has the little frog buttons on it. Dude, it is sick. I am so excited. So go to animeape.com. There's a link in the description. Use code Metrolina Martial Arts. Save yourself 10% on your next order. And yeah, you're going to be freaking awesome. I even have the waterbender set from Avatar, The Last Airbender. Bro, it is top notch. Part 3. Discard what is useless. Now, this is a tricky one when talking about Goku and Dragon Ball Z. Not so much with Bruce Lee. With Goku, discarding what's useless to him, being able to fly probably removed a lot of the problems that Goku would have in getting from point A to point B, without the help of the Nimbus Cloud. But he would use the Nimbus Cloud still to save energy, to not have to use energy while flying, or he would no longer use the Extendo Stick or the Power Pole or whatever it's called. So the idea with that is you would discard moves that you don't need anymore. He never used the Kaioken really after he became a Super Saiyan. He just didn't need it anymore. Beyond that, he very rarely used the Solar Flare. He would use it once or twice, just like a hat trick, but it then kind of threw it away. So discarding what is useless in Dragon Ball's world is more so, well, they keep getting powered up, so certain moves are no longer as applicable. In Bruce Lee's world and reality, discarding what is useless might be something along the lines of a move that just doesn't work for you. Whether athletically you're unable to perform it, or it's just not a move that vibes with you, sometimes you can throw it out. Now, here's where a lot of people can get lost in the sauce with it, is that doesn't mean if your jab isn't landing to throw away your jab. Your jab is an important part of fighting, especially striking, obviously. Now, if your jab isn't working, you need to go back to the first two, research why it's not working, add maybe tricks to make it land better, and then maybe redefine what the jab means for you. But the idea is you can't just discard everything. If you going back to the sculptor analogy, if you hack away too much clay, you won't have a sculpture anymore. You'll just have, nothing. So there is a limit to this, and the daily decrease could be something along the lines of like you no longer have to just hit the heavy bag just with jabs anymore. You can now maybe just do regular combos or whatever. But that's the idea with discard was useless. That also could mean things that you just aren't interested in anymore. Like for example, if you trained gi jiu-jitsu and you transitioned over to no-gi jiu-jitsu, you don't really need to remember how to do a loop choke or a cross collar choke. You don't need that, so you could discard it. In striking, maybe you don't like being able to do axe kicks, or maybe you don't like doing spinning hook kicks or any of those flashy kicks from like Taekwondo and all that. So you could discard them for you because maybe you're more of a practical fighter, or you're following kind of some of the Jeet Kune Do principles of not kicking over the waist or whatever. So like that's a way to discard that. But again, if you discard kicks entirely, you're kind of you're kind of doing it wrong. So with all that said, discarding what is useless has to be with the caveat of, are you just really bad at that technique? And, you just need to work on that before discarding that. Part 4. Add specifically what is your own. Now, oh my god, this is such a fascinating point in the Jeet Kune Do world, because this is where everyone gets lost in the sauce. Depending if you're a concepts guy or you're an original JKD guy or whatever. I won't spend too long talking about that, but I will say, when it says add what is specifically your own, it could be something where you take a technique. Like for example, Goku took the Kamehameha and made that his move. You don't think about Master Roshi being the inventor of the Kamehameha as much anymore, because Goku took that technique, owned it, and mastered it. So you could take something like the finger jab, if that's your jam, and you can make that move so freaking good that it's yours. And they look at it like, yeah, he learned it from, whoever, but he can apply it better than anybody. You can look at Bruce Lee and how he revolutionized the fact of bridging the gap with his explosive movement, using the finger jab and the groin kick or whatever. But he didn't invent those things, he made them his own. That is what that means. It doesn't mean that you could take Silat, put it into Jeet Kune Do, and then call it Jeet Kune Do. Even Dan Inosanto himself says that's not the point of it. The point of it is to take a move, make it your own. As I said, Goku did this with the Kamehameha, making that move his own. The Kaioken, that is Goku's move, because we never seen Kikai, actually do it, even though he taught it to him, right? Spirit Bomb, same thing. Those moves are his and his alone for the most part. Now, obviously, other people do Kamehamehas as well. When Goku fuses with Vegeta, he did the super final Kamehameha thing. All that cool shit. But ideally, right, like the Kamehameha is Goku. The Kaioken is Goku. With Bruce Lee, we talked about adding specifically what is his own. His application to fighting as it relates to striking is revolutionary, especially in the 60s and 70s. Especially his approach to the martial art. Was he the only one to do it? No. Was he the inventor of those thought processes? No. But he was the first one to apply it to that audience and become kind of famous with it with the movies. In conclusion, while Goku and Bruce Lee may come from vastly different worlds, reality and fiction, their impact on popular culture and the martial arts community is undeniable. Whether you're a fan of Dragon Ball or a follower of Bruce Lee's teachings, there's so much to learn from these two iconic figures. How do you think Bruce Lee and Goku's fighting philosophies compare? Do you think I was on point, or do you think I was way off base? Let me know in the comments. And a big thank you again to Anime Ape for sponsoring this video, as well as giving me the best drip in all of YouTube martial arts. Remember to use code Metrolina Martial Arts and the link below to save yourself 10%. ご覧にいただいてありがとうございました。もしかしてこのビデオのいいねとまた何ちょっと待って。まだ終わってねえの？じゃあまったくね。じゃあ続けてください。I know it's been a while. I apologize for that. Making videos became pretty difficult for me. The views were low, my inspiration non-existent. So I decided to focus on myself for a bit and to train. I've competed a lot in jiu-jitsu in these past 6 months. But I thought, after hearing of Akira Toriyama's death, I'd return to a place I once called home, Japan. Taking a day trip to Nikko, a place where Tokugawa Ieyasu has been buried since the 1200s. There, I tried to center myself and remember why I make videos. Why do we do content creation? Selfishly, for ourselves too, but mainly for the viewers. And I figured it'd be a damn shame to stop where I stopped. So I went back to Japan, centered myself, and decided. I'm back.